I will be ranking every Pixar movie. Yes, all 27 of them. Keep in mind though, this is my opinion, so don't try to sick Frank on me. Wait, do you not know Frank?
That's Frank.
Well, here's your spoiler warning, though I'll try not to go too much into detail. Anyways,
let's race.
You've got a friend in me.
Toy Story was the first movie from Pixar, and let's be honest, this was a great first release. So this kid named Andy has toys, and his personal favorite is Woody. Andy has a birthday party, and his toys think that they're going to get replaced. So they basically stalk this kid's birthday party to see if he gets any new toys. Well, he does. Buzz Lightyear, the toy who thinks he's a real astronaut. Andy's toys start to favor Buzz more than Woody, and Woody gets upset. He gets a little jealous. Woody and Buzz start arguing, and they get stranded.
You are a toy!
And then they end up in the hands of the villain of the movie, Sid. Now, Sid is just a normal kid, but he plays with his toys a little rough. So Woody and Buzz team up with other toys to scare Sid and escape. In the end, it all works out. I still enjoy this movie until this day. I mean, it had great quality, great storyline, easily S tier.
Was a bug, little bug.
Hence the name. This movie is about a bug's life. So this ant colony is basically getting bullied by some grasshoppers. The ants have to work extra hard to feed them. This one inventor ant named Flick accidentally knocked over the food that they were supposed to give the grasshoppers for the season. And the grasshoppers come back and they say, "You have to give us double the food or you're dead." So Flick goes out and he recruits circus bugs to help fight off the grasshoppers, thinking they're warriors. And they don't really help. The head of the grasshoppers, named Hopper, is really just scared that all the ants will stand up to the grasshoppers, and of course they won't stand a chance. In the end though, Hopper gets fed to the birds and Flick gets the girl. Overall, it's a decent movie. I mean, it has its funny moments, and I really like the message that it only takes one person to start seeking justice. But it's not my favorite movie, and I gotta balance out the tier somehow, so C tier. Woody gets a tear in his arm, so Andy has to leave him behind, and a greedy toy collector named Al steals Andy. Al wants to put him in the museum. While captured, Woody finds out where he originated from alongside Jesse, Stinky Pete, and Horace. He then decides to go to the museum after Stinky Pete tells him that he will be forgot about when Andy grows up. Andy's other toys go out and look for Woody. Buzz gets set up by his own kind, and he also gets in a hassle with his enemy named Zurg. Stinky Pete turns out to be a traitor, so they shove him in a girl's bag at the airport. They escape, and Andy gets new toys, and he loves them all. Toy Story 2 doesn't beat the first movie, but it's still pretty good. B tier. So Monsters, Inc. is the biggest scare company that provides energy for the city. Monsters go through doors that connect to the human world, and they scare children. The children's screams are then extracted and refined into energy. But the work is considered dangerous because humans are toxic. The company is on a decline though because kids are becoming less afraid of these monsters. Sully is one of the company's top scarers, and he's accompanied by his friend Mike Wazowski, and he wishes to be scary. Sully finds a door and accidentally lets a girl in called Boo. So Sully and Mike attempt to keep her hidden and find out that kids actually aren't toxic. Also, they discover that laughter gives off more energy than screams. This chameleon named Randall works in the company close to the crooked CEO, and they plan to kidnap kids and use a scream generator on them. Randall and the CEO get caught, and Mike becomes the CEO of Monsters, Inc. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I like the concept of this movie of turning fantasy figures into a structured corporation. Like, great idea. A tier. I think it's kind of crazy that I wasn't even born yet when this movie came out, but I absolutely love this movie. I've watched this movie continuously. The movie starts off showing clownfish Marlin and Cora excited for the baby eggs to hatch. Then they get attacked by a barracuda. Marlin is knocked unconscious and he wakes up to only one damaged egg, Nemo. Now let me sidetrack for a bit. Apparently, barracudas don't eat clownfish. But you want to know what does eat clownfish? Clownfish. What if Coral ate her own babies and swam away? Because we didn't see what happened. Like, Marlin was knocked unconscious. We didn't see what happened to the eggs. We didn't see any of that. Now, this is just a fan theory that I saw a while back. My personal opinion is that I think it's absolutely possible because, take me for an example. I don't like bell peppers in my burrito, but if I have nothing else to eat, I promise you, I'm going to eat that burrito with the bell peppers in it. Okay, let me get back on track. So Marlin is overprotective of Nemo since it's his only child. He takes Nemo to school one day, and Nemo, trying to be cool, goes and touches a boat, or a butt as they called it.
I know what that is. Oh, Sandy Plankton saw one. He said it was called a butt.
Wow, that's a pretty big butt.
Nemo ends up getting caught by a scuba diver and placed in a dentist's fish tank.
Darla, your uncle will see you now.
Trying to find Nemo, Marlin meets Dory, who I love, by the way. She has short-term memory loss, so it makes it a little difficult to travel with her. But they go on this journey to find Nemo, and Marlin reunites with his son in the end. This was a great movie by Pixar. I thought it was funny and emotional. S tier. Super-powered activities have been banned by the government because superheroes keep making a mess when they fight. Now superheroes and their families are forced to live ordinary lives. The Incredibles family, also known as the Pars, consists of Bob, Helen, Violet, Dash, and baby Jack Jack. Bob eventually gets tired of his 9-to-5 desk job and he throws his boss through a wall or 2, or 3, or 4. He's then offered to go back to being a superhero to defeat this robot-looking thing. He does this behind his family's back, but his designer accidentally tells on him, assuming that his wife knew already. So, the family goes to find Bob and help him fight along with his friend Frozone.
My super suit?
What?
Where is my super suit?
Put it away!
Where?
Bob gets caught up with the kid he rejected back in the day, and he adds on to what the family had to endure. The Incredibles escape, and the end shows the beginning of Incredibles 2. Great superhero movie, and it was funny. S tier.
I'm American made, but lots.
Cars. I have a nostalgic connection with this series because I used to play the Cars game on the Wii and Nintendo all the time. Mater's Tall Tales to be specific. This movie starts off with the race and it ends up being a 3-way tie. The cars have to race again at another track to determine the winner. On his way to train early at the next racetrack, Lightning McQueen falls asleep and he wakes up in the middle of traffic. He then makes his way into this town called Radiator Springs. He damages the road and has to repair it. And throughout his time in Radiator Springs, he makes some new friends, he becomes less arrogant, and just a great character development. Lightning McQueen makes it to the racetrack and almost wins, but he saw that one of the other cars crash. So he stops and helps that car across the finish line, showing great sportsmanship. And that's pretty much it. I love this movie and the game. This is easily an S tier for me.
Les rêves des amoureux garçon.
Ratatouille's simplicity makes this movie so much better. This rat named Remy likes to cook and he wanted to be like a chef named Gusto. He finds his way into Gusto's restaurant and sees a worker mess up soup. Remy helps him fix it. They then become friends and Remy controls the worker named Alfredo. They become a hit. The owner Skinner finds out that Alfredo is the rightful owner of the restaurant and he hides it. But Remy shows Alfredo the truth. Skinner is told to leave the restaurant, but he continues to try and hijack them. The rats were standing on business though. They tied Skinner up and tossed him in the pantry. Remy's secret gets out and Gusto's restaurant is closed by the health inspector. But then they opened up a restaurant called Ratatouille and it is highly respected by a big critic. You know, Ratatouille, this movie, it kind of motivates me in a way. Who would think that a rat could be a chef? You know, all these people telling me I can't do this, I can't do that, you can't fly. Well, maybe I can fly, you know? S tier.
Put on your Sunday clothes, there's lots of world.
So most of this movie is no dialogue, no one's talking, it's just two robots. Wall-E is alone and is cleaning up trash on Earth. He wants love though, he wants somebody else. One day, a ship lands on Earth and he meets this girl robot named Eve, and he falls in love. Eve is just looking for plant life so she can report back to the humans in space. And also, she's a little reckless. All the humans are in space on ships and they're super dependent. But essentially, this movie is a robot love story. It's all about the robots, so I'm not even finna get into the humans. Also, it's really showing that actions speak louder than words. S tier. This older man named Carl loses his wife right after the movie starts. He hits someone in the head with his cane, and the reason why is so sad.
And stop. Stop. Hey! Hey, you! What do you think you're doing?
I am so sorry, sir.
Don't touch that!
No. Let me take care of that for you.
Get away from our mailbox!
Sir,
I don't want you to touch it! Ow!
He then has to go to a nursing home, but he said, nah, I'm not doing that. So he makes his house float with balloons.
Hello, boys!
While in the air, he notices he accidentally brought along a kid named Russell, who is a wilderness explorer Boy Scout. The man Carl admired since he was a kid turned out to be the antagonist in this movie. In summary, they go on this amazing adventure to reach Paradise Falls. I like Up. I mean, it's kind of sad at points, but it's super enjoyable. The soundtrack is amazing. S tier. Andy is 17 now, getting ready to go to college. He plans to take Woody with him and he puts the other toys in a black trash bag to put in the attic. Andy's mom mistakes it for trash and she throws the toys away. The toys think Woody did it on purpose, so they get upset and they hop into Andy's mom's car to go to Sunnyside Daycare. And this is where they meet the evil Lotso. Now, in my opinion, I don't think Lotso's backstory is that bad to be acting so selfish, but he's just a teddy bear that runs Sunnyside Daycare like a prison. He even has a monkey as the lookout.
He sees everything.
Andy's toys find the way to escape, but Lotso gets in the way and they end up in a landfill on a conveyor belt headed to an incinerator. So they help Lotso up off the belt to hit the emergency stop button, but Lotso says psych and he leaves them to die. They then get saved by other toys that separated from them, and at the end they find a new nice kid to be their owner. This was my favorite Toy Story movie. S tier. Lightning McQueen is challenged to a race by an Italian racer, and at the track, some of the racers' engines explode due to a camera. Mater joins spies to help uncover who was behind the engine explosions. And it turns out, the host of the race was behind it all. He wanted to turn everyone against certain fuels. I mean, that's pretty much it on this movie. It was focused on Mater, pretty much. And don't get me wrong, I love Mater. I think he's so funny.
He won 3 piston cups.
He did what in his cup?
But this movie, it just kind of went off track from the first one. C tier. The main character, Merida, kind of reminds me of Katniss in the Hunger Games. She's good with the bow and arrow, and she's stubborn. Merida finds out that she has to marry, and then she gets into an argument with her mother. Merida runs away and goes to a witch. The witch gives Merida a cake for her mother to eat, and her mother then changes into a bear. Merida's father's leg was lost in a battle with the bear, so the whole kingdom despises bears. While the father was trying to kill his wife, Merida was trying to keep her alive. Merida's mother needed to change back to human before a certain sunrise, or she'll stay a bear forever. Overall, this was a pretty good movie. I like the fact that it wasn't cliche. Don't get me wrong, I like the regular princess movies, but sometimes the singing with the birds and the teacups is super annoying. So for Brave, S tier. So Monsters University is a prequel of Monsters Incorporated. This movie just showed their life before they got to Monsters Incorporated. So Sully and Mike get into this university called Monsters University, and during an exam, they get kicked out of the school. Mike then makes a bet with the head lady that if his team wins, they can attend the university. Mike wants to really prove himself so bad and works really hard for his team to win. But Sully cheats their team to a victory. So both Sully and Mike get kicked out of university, but they start their journey to Monsters Incorporated. It had a lot of funny pieces in this movie. I feel like it was missing some character development though, but it's still a good movie. A tier. Inside Out is about emotions. It focuses on the inside of Riley's mind. There's anger, disgust, fear, joy, and sadness. Riley moved from Minnesota all the way to San Francisco when her father got a new job. And Riley really struggles to adapt to these new changes. Inside her mind, Joy tries to keep sadness away from everything because she thinks that sadness is not good for Riley. Joy and sadness end up being sucked out of headquarters with Riley's core memories, leaving only anger, disgust, and fear to operate Riley's emotions. Joy and sadness go on this adventure trying to get back to headquarters because they are the two most important emotions. And gladly, Joy finally realizes that towards the end. There's actually an Inside Out 2 coming out soon, and I'm super excited to see it. I really enjoyed the thought of this movie. S tier.
Right, this is gonna be a big one.
3, 2, 1.
Hello, Arlo.
So dinosaurs exist with humans. This small dino named Arlo is born and he gets separated from his family after his dad died trying to save him. Now, while spending his time on the farm with his family, Arlo was a bit behind compared to his sister and brother. So after Arlo gets lost, he meets this human child and they go on adventures trying to get back home. On the way, they occasionally got attacked by pterodactyls. Arlo ends up giving the child away to other humans and he finds his way back home. And that's pretty much it. This isn't the best movie, but I thought it was cute. C tier. Finding Dory is just like finding Nemo, but instead of finding Nemo, they're finding Dory. And as we all know, Dory suffers from short-term memory loss, and it's super challenging for her to remember her way home. So Marlin and Nemo help Dory try to find her parents, but she ends up getting trapped by a marine institute. So they go on an adventure to find her. Also, it turns out that Dory actually can speak well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wait, say that again.
You're welcome.
Dory?
Yes.
Dory.
Yes.
Dory?
Yes.
Dory!
Yes.
You and I were friends!
No.
Dory, it's me, Destiny.
You know me?
Of course! We talked through the pipes when we were little. We were pipe pals!
At the end of the movie, Dory makes it back home and she finds her parents. If you like Finding Nemo, you should like this movie. Also, I like how they included the fish from the first movie at the end, even though I think they should be dead. S tier. Cars 3 is my favorite Cars movie of the series, even though it had me heartbroken. McQueen is a 7-year champ now, and these newer cars are easily faster than him because of their updated technology. McQueen ends up getting into a major accident. McQueen recovers and he decides to race again, and he has a newer car to train him. He gets back onto the track hesitant because of his crash. McQueen then ends up letting his trainer, Cruz, race, and she wins after hitting a side flip. Cars 3 was great. I don't even know how Cars can make me feel this emotional. Maybe because I can relate to this movie somehow, but easily S tier.
You make me un poco loco.
This boy named Miguel wants to play music, but his family forbids it since one of his great-grandfathers supposedly left his family for music. Miguel then discovers that his idol musician, who is dead, might be his relative. So Miguel steals this musician's guitar out of the museum and gets trapped in the land of the dead. In the land of the dead, Miguel finds out that his idol musician, Ernesto de la Cruz, poisoned his great-grandfather and stole all his music. The crazy thing is that Miguel's actual great-grandfather, Hector, was getting treated like trash for no reason. Miguel returns home and reveals the truth, and he is finally able to play music freely. Coco, amazing movie. S tier. In Incredibles 2, the government stopped funding superheroes once again because of the damage. Helen, also known as Elastigirl, becomes the face of the superheroes because she causes the least damage. Elastigirl funds her family with a new house and goes off on a mission. Bob, also known as Mr. Incredible, has to stay at home and deal with the kids. And let's just say, it's not an easy task, especially since the kids have powers. This lady named Evelyn, who helped with Elastigirl's publicity, turns out to be hypnotizing superheroes. She rounds all the superheroes up, and the kids have to save them. And they do. This doesn't beat the first one, but I like this sequel. S tier.
I can't let you throw yourself away.
You know, 3 is usually the stopping number for a movie series, but no, not for Toy Story. So Bonnie ends up making a new toy out of a spork named Forky. Now, Forky believes that he belongs in the trash, which is understandable because he's a plastic fork. Forky runs away and Woody goes out to rescue him. Then Buzz goes out to look for Woody and he becomes a prize in a carnival booth. Buzz escapes the carnival booth with plush toys and he locates Woody and Bo Peep. So, Buzz, Woody, Bo Peep, and the plush toys all go out together to find Forky. At the end of the movie, Woody decides to stay with Bo Peep and he leaves the gang. He leaves the gang. 3 was most definitely the stopping number for this series because what the heck? This movie was just unnecessary in my opinion. Blanked here. Magic used to be a super popular thing in this world, but everyone just stopped once they got technological upgrades. Or, in other words, people just got lazy. These brothers, Ian and Barley, lost their father at a young age. On Ian's birthday, he gets a staff, gem, and note with a spell that brings his father back for a day. So Ian begins to cast a spell, but only got half of his dad's body to come back because Barley interrupted him. The brothers go out on this magical quest to find another gem so they can bring their father's full body back. Also, they fight a dragon after they find the other gem. Barley gets to see his father for like a second and the end. Not gonna lie, I was kind of bored during this movie. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not good either. C tier. So Jamie Foxx plays the main character, Joe. Joe in this movie is a music teacher who wanted to be a musician because of his and his dad's love for it. He finally gets the opportunity to perform, but he got a little too excited and he fell into a hole and kind of died. And he ended up in this place where souls are created. Joe then mentors a stubborn stranger named 22 in the realm to help her find her spark. They end up going back to Earth and Joe is in a cat's body and 22 is in Joe's body. Throughout the movie, Joe is really just focused on himself getting back in time to perform. Joe gets a second chance at life and then he realizes what having a soul really means. You definitely have to think about the hidden message a little bit more in this movie. I mean, maybe it was for older audiences. I'll say B tier. Luca is like your basic mermaid movie, like H2O. If water touches them, they turn into a mermaid or sea monsters. So these sea monsters live in the sea and they are feared by humans. A curious boy named Luca goes against his parents' rule and he goes onto land. Luca likes land and he meets another sea monster on the land and they dream of getting a Vespa, which is a moped. They go to a competition in the city and they try to win money for a Vespa, and it rains during the competition. At the end though, Luca ends up being able to go to school with the human girl that he met in the city, and the sea monsters are accepted into society. I like this movie. It was simple, it was sweet, just two curious boys going on an adventure. A tier.
I never met nobody.
This girl named May turns into a red panda if she doesn't stay calm. Her mother is super overprotective and blames everyone but her daughter. Her mother is a Karen. May wants to hang out with her friends and go see some boy band, but her mother is just all in her way. I mean, that's pretty much the movie. May wants to do teenager things and her mom is just like, no.
No.
This is a decent movie though. B tier. Apparently, this movie is why Andy from Toy Story wanted a Buzz Lightyear toy. I find that very hard to believe because Buzz annoyed me so much in this movie. So Buzz just kept messing up and he wanted to redeem himself and get his crew back to Earth.
What is this? How long was I gone?
4 years, 2 months, and 3 days.
What?
While doing that, Buzz has to fight off Zurg and his robot army. So I guess the message of this movie is never give up? I don't really know. I was so fed up with Buzz's overconfident attitude, I really didn't even pay that close attention to the whole movie. Kinda got bored. Also, I didn't like how Pixar changed Buzz's voice actor. I didn't really like Buzz. I didn't like how Zurg was apparently Buzz in this movie, but in Toy Story 2, they said that Zurg was Buzz's father. Inconsistencies like that confuse me, and I don't like it. So if you haven't figured it out already, I didn't like this movie. Blanked here. This movie is like racism or prejudiced people. So these fire people move to Element City, but they're not really liked by anyone because they're just seen as destructive. Ember, the fire girl, has anger issues and explodes fire when she's mad. And the guy that she likes is a water guy who cries a lot. So they're both emotional characters. They eventually fall in love, and it's kind of hard because, you know, water and fire, they don't really mix well. Plus, Ember's father hates water people. So, yeah. They end up getting together in the end though. They kissed and it was like steam. Growing up with coolmathgames.com, I used to play a game like this all the time. And as Pixar's latest release, this movie's not the worst. B tier. Watching movies again when you're older hits different. You pick up on things you missed and you understand more. Pixar is obviously a great animation company because most of their movies are in S tier. I also like how Disney Pixar incorporates so many cultures into their movies. I feel like that's a good thing to do to make more people feel included. I had a hard time deciding what my favorite Pixar movie is, so here's my top 6.